Welcome back, everybody. My name is Fia Gloss. We're here. Scream City. Jam is over. Well, not while I'm recording this, but it is now, whenever this is up. So we're gonna go ahead and start playing through all the submissions. It's fun. This is probably more fun than just reading some stupid stuff I write. So our first game is Graceland by Gaia Forenza, entering the liminal space and trying in some way to get out. Is the was the tag, the stinger for that. So you can see I have my new recording computer here. It's on Linux, so we will see how some of this goes. Worst case scenario, I can record it on my other computer, but we're going to try and do it on this one. Hopefully it sounds a little bit better too. All right, a textual game with illustrations created for the SCREAMCITY Jam of April 2019. As the optional theme was a city, we picked Chicago, Chi-Town, and played with the idea of the liminal space and the interaction between past and present of the city. Navigate your way through the space in between and trying to get home, preferably sane. And pay attention to the occasional empty line. Eyewitness accounts of the Great Chicago Fire can be found in this website, and our lovely art was created by Lucky Nothin'. Little sample picture here, made with twine, so that's exciting for me. I love twine. And Lucky Nothin', if we have any Scream Jam aficionados here, made a submission called Chilled for Scream Season, which was kind of a cool little game. I remember liking that one. It was kind of like that quintessential twine game. Anyway, but this is Graceland. So we're gonna jump right into it. Graceland. I am caught between standing up or remaining seated at the bus stop. Frozen in place, captured by indecision. This neighborhood is still busy even this late, and there are others at the stop with me. Lincoln Park, a green space in the heart of the city. Herbs in Hordo, Chicago's motto, spreads out somewhere behind the stop. Think about the animals pacing in the zoo, pacing in their enclosures. When I got here, an elderly lady had been sitting on the bench next to me, her chatting in that odd in that soft, peculiar way that creeps into the words of people old enough. Very tired, she had said. 92, you know. I need to put my old bones to rest. I had felt a certain worry for the small woman, her aged frame shrunken and waiting patiently at such a late hour for her bus. I had wondered who the hell would even let a 92-year-old lady out of the house at night. Do you not have someone you can call to take you home, ma'am? I asked her. Her then, leaning in a little. She had waved a pale, wrinkled hand. Oh, no. My son is waiting, and my grandchildren are all very busy. They cannot come. Don't you worry, dear. The bus should be here soon. Any time now. The others at the bus stop, their figures framed by the street light lamp, had not intervened or interacted at all, seeming not even to notice. Their lack of care had irked me, but their silence, even among each other, hadn't been rising my expectations to begin with. Then, when steady steps on the sidewalk had approached, closer and louder by the second, I had looked up. Right off the bat, I want to say, I like the sort of, spans here that kind of add a little color, mix it up. I such a small thing to do, really, but it kind of does make a difference to add the little coloration in between characters, just to It's a visual medium, so you might as well use it a little bit, right? I looked up. Yeah, see, these are cool little sketches. A figure wearing jeans and an oversized sweatshirt had approached the bench. Their hands, I had noticed, were hidden in the pockets, their face under the hood, pulled up against the chill of early October. At once, the elderly lady had stood, her slight weight leaning in on our walking cane, and left her seat to the stranger. Alarmed, if not downright astounded that the stranger had accepted the offer, I had moved as if to let the poor old woman sit again and rest. She waved a gnarled hand at me. Oh dear, no, see, the bus is coming. From now here I remain, hanging in the balance between getting on my feet and staying where I am, perplexed and indecisive. Ma'am, I said very gently, there's no bus coming yet. Please do sit. I sigh and stand up. Ma'am, really, I insist. Now, next to her, my hand hovers over her shoulder, frail under a structured shoulder pad. A heavy scent rises from her, cloying and sickly sweet, like something moldy, and I do not touch her. There's no bus coming yet. Please do sit. Glance towards the street, thronging with cars, then decide to sit back down. Dinner and the bar were fun, but exhausting. This isn't my business. It's just safer if I do not get involved. Okay, so we got a couple choices here. Say it gently. I think this is denoting choices, which is cool. I'm liking the amount of, like, I don't know what you'd call it, non-standard symbols. It's cool. I like it. I like these pictures as well. Let's see. Decide to sit back down. Mind our own business. Probably what most people would do in real life. Hover hand or say it gently. Let's hover hand. There's no bus coming yet. I hear the sound of an engine and I look up towards the street. The bus lights cast bright cones and marked shadows on the concrete, and I squint against them. It is empty, its interior lights darkened, and in place of a line number in the window, flickery LED sign displays, not in service. See, dear, time to go, the old lady tells me, stepping forward. The mothball and decay smell of her fades, and I watch everyone else at the stop. As they crowd towards the doors, yawning open, I frown. I want to ask what number the bus is, but I do not. None of them look at me. Not even the old woman, whose white hair is combed in a neat... Oh boy. Yeah. Yeah, don't know how to pronounce that. Coiffure? I don't know. Startled into action by this nonsense, I move forward and place a hand on her shoulder. Who let her out alone at this hour anyway? As soon as I touch her, she stops and turns. Okay, so we got a phantom bus here. One little sort of nitpick, I guess, is that this purple right here is an awful lot like the already clicked link purple that things usually are. So, I don't know, just turns me off a little bit. I don't know why. It's dumb, but let's see. Let's be a little more actionable. Why not? I think, this is the afterlife bus right now, so I do not like the way she turns towards me, her eyes caught in a spider web of wrinkles, her large and sunken, watery. The smell is more of a stench now, like all that nice clothing that hadn't been taken out of a musty wardrobe since half her lifetime ago. Well, as someone who had a musty wardrobe once, it does not even take half a lifetime for that to get quite the odor, by the way. Anyway, a few other people turn their heads in my direction, staring as if I've been harassing the old woman. At once, I remove my hand and take a quick step back. Awesome picture. Love it. Do not enjoy meeting their gaze. When is it ever comfortable locking eyes with strangers, especially on or around public transport? A dissatisfactory, discomforting look in their white sclera, their dark pupils, an intrusion. Great sentence. Now it's worse. It's not just the awkwardness of so many taking the time to turn and look at me before they get onto the bus one by one. It's that they look inquisitive, as though they're almost trying to place some sort of blame on me, displaying a strange annoyance on their shifting features. But all of them, after that display, return to ignoring me and continue filing onto the bus. When the elderly lady is on the bus step, she pauses a moment to turn to me last time. Do try and catch the next one, dear. It's important. The doors slide closed and I'm left alone, except for the hooded stranger. So, okay. So we didn't get on the bus this time. And I'm just noticing, especially like this little thing here, I almost wonder, like, I don't like to pathologize people or play armchair psychologist on people, but I almost wonder if this person has some sort of, if Gaia, the author, has some sort of like social anxiety, because having strangers look at them on the street is like this unsettling experience as it's described. And I've never really felt that way personally. Like, just walking on the street, if people look at me, it's not really a big deal and I don't care. All right, except for the hooded stranger. Alone now at the bus stop, except for the person in the hoodie. I stare outward at the street so I don't have to look at them. Pretending you're alone in situations like this is an urban survival technique. The night is darkening. I glance up, thinking maybe there are clouds blowing in off the lake. The chill in the air seems to deepen, and I find myself thinking about snow and shuddering. Party dress be damned. Too early for snow, surely. It's never too early or too late for snow in Chicago. I cough against the dry chill, looking back out at the street. There are fewer cars by now. This seems strange, even late as it is. Lincoln Park is one of those neighborhoods which never seems to sleep. The dark presses in, and the cold. The voice is so quiet that at first I think it might be in my head, not a real voice at all. Sarah. I glance sidelong at the figure beside me. Their hands are still in the deep pocket. Oh, their hands are still in the deep pocket of the black hoodie, and the hood itself is so deep, I can't see their face at all. I try to peek under it. Still, I have the sense that they're looking at me. Excuse me? I ask finally. You're Sarah, says the person. Aren't you? I shudder. Leaning slightly back, away from them. I'm sorry, do I even know you? We crossed paths briefly at Jim's party in college. That was years ago now, but Jim's party is not one I'm going to easily forget. Not after half the party got roofied by a couple of frat boys who'd spiked the juice, thinking it had proved their chances. They'd ended up arrested, and I'd ended up sick as hell. That kind of slurring stupor is not something I recommend to anyone, nor an experience I ever wish to repeat. I frown at them, still unable to recall the voice or see their face. If I met you there, I say carefully, then I really don't recall you. That evening wasn't a good time for anyone. There was another occasion, when Julia's fiancé was in the hospital, and you went to her during the night. I gape at them. How do they know Julia? Do I have a stalker? I jump to my feet. Then, blissfully and yet so suddenly, the number 151 is pulling over by the stop. Okay, let's try the hidden option. I saw during the description they mentioned these hidden ones, but I did not know what they meant. So let's try it. I try to peek under it, but I still see nothing. Okay, cool. I just didn't want to do that unless I knew that it was going to be kind of like a link replace situation or whatever. All right, blissfully and suddenly the 151 is pulling over by the stop. The bus stops, hissing like a mechanical serpent, as it lowers and its doors fold out to take on passengers. This one is lit up inside. I can see the silhouettes of other people already slumping in some of their seats. The LED sign comfortingly reads my line number in gold lights. Behind me, I hear the person in the hood stand up, and I turn without meaning to, looking at them. Somehow the streetlights still don't penetrate under the shadow of the hood. I can't even see a wet gleam of eye. My own plastic CTA card is clutched in my chill fingers as I watch the stranger, my stalker, walk towards the bus I had planned to get on, to escape them. They pause at the steps. "Isn't this your bus?" they ask me, without turning back. "You shouldn't miss your ride. It's important." And then they mount the steps and vanish into the interior. The driver looks at me, typically impatient. I hesitate, frowning. There's another bus stop a few blocks away up the street. If I start walking, by the time I reach it, there should be another bus coming along to get me. Waving the bus drive on, I turn and set off that direction, walking north. Due to the jam's time restraints, this branch isn't completed. It will be continued and concluded once the jam is over, but for now we advise that you pick another option. I know there's a number 156 bus coming after this one. It won't take me all the way to my stop, but the lines are parallel up to a point. I'll have to walk a lot further alone on the other side. But better that. Get on the bus with a stranger who knows way too much about me. I step back and sit back down, waving the bus driver on. The 151 looks empty enough that surely I won't have to sit anywhere near the stranger. I think I'm cold and a little freaked out. I just want to get home, so I decide to just climb onto the bus. Okay. Sorry, I need to adjust my seat a little bit. Okay. So we have the stranger. The stranger seems to know a little bit too much about us and seems to have some sort of anonymity that is persistent, no matter the lighting. So, you know, I'm usually the kind of person who makes the worst decisions. And so, let's go ahead and do that. I'm just going to climb on the bus. My thought process as a reader is that while this is strange, the stranger knowing so much about us, they haven't done anything specifically negative towards me. So let's just go for it. I clamber onto the bus, pausing to swipe my transit card. The machine beeps confirmation, and almost before it does, the driver is already shutting the doors. I stand at the front of the bus, staring at the rows of seats. The bus jerks as it pulls away from the curb and back out onto the street, jarring me so that I almost fall. There are other passengers, at least. I see a well-dressed older gentleman with a bowler hat on his lap and a cane leaning on his knee. A young girl in braided pigtails kicks her feet beside an exhausted-looking woman with hair the same color. Others, one here and two there, but the bus is barely a quarter full. The very back, I spy a hunched, dark shape, which has to be the stranger in the hood. A prickle of fear touches me at the sight. Suddenly, I'm angry. Who is this person who knows my name, but won't tell me theirs or show me their face? There are other people around now. I resolve to sort this out once and for all and confront the stranger while I can. I stride to the back and take the seat across from the stranger in the hood. Suddenly, I'm angry. Who is this person who knows my name, but won't tell me theirs or show me their face? I refuse to let them intimidate me or make me change my habits. I go to my usual seat, just in front of the middle door of the bus, closer to the other passengers. I shiver. I don't want to be anywhere near that stranger, and I want a quick escape route if I need one. I take the first seat behind the driver and hunch in on myself, hoping that will be the end of it. Okay, so another thing I'm noticing so far is that your choices are given so much context, and as a stylistic choice, it's nice. It's kind of one of those things where it's like, I don't know, you almost like either want to give them all the context so they know totally what they're doing, or give them some vague idea of what they're doing. I don't know, I kind of like it both ways, but I like this quite a bit where it's like, not only am I choosing what I'm doing, like imagine if I was just like, I stride to the back and take a seat across from the stranger in the hood, I go to my usual seat, or I take the first seat behind the driver. While that tells me exactly what my character is doing, it doesn't give me a context necessarily for what I'm doing. Like these two, I know I'm angry suddenly, and this one I'm scared. So it's kind of like letting me also choose the context in which I'm doing these things. Like maybe, maybe somebody was doing this, but they were scared. Like they were scared of what the stranger would do if they tried to just push them or something. I don't know. It's just cool. I like the amount of context that I'm getting per choice here. Just wanted to point that out. Bowler hats. It's funny. Anyway, let's go full on. What are you doing around here? Take off that hood, young man or woman. The figure doesn't lift their head. It seems impossible to me that I still can't see their face inside that hood. The bus is well lit. I should be able to see something. Before I can say anything, the stranger speaks. It's good that you didn't miss your bus, Sarah, they say in a quiet, curiously flattened voice, as though I haven't actually heard anything at all. Why? I demand. What do you care? Who are you? No answer. The hood turns, apparently looking out the window. I cannot see their face in the reflection on the glass either. Did you know that the south end of Lincoln Park was once Chicago's city cemetery? They ask softly. They moved the bodies to Graceland, but not all of them. Not all of them. Evacuations in the park, or excavations in the park, still turn up bones. I'm silent, gaping stupidly at the empty black hood, and rapidly regretting my attempt at boldness. Great fire came, and it destroyed all the markers, you see. The figure continues. The hood swings back towards me. It's not a night to be out on your own, Sarah. Not in this place. I stare at them, my skin crawling. None of the passengers are even looking this way. I might as well be alone with the stranger again. I desperately want to see under that hood, but the idea of it fills me with a strange sort of dread, too. I try to see under the hood. Fear be damned, I have to know. I can't bring myself to do it. I stand and walk forward, finding another seat and dropping on it, trying to find comfort in the solid plastic behind my back. Look, you gotta be bold. I don't know. I was gonna have a follow-up, but I don't. We gotta look under the hood. Nothing. Shudder. I stand suddenly, my sweating hand gripping the seat support, and walk away to find another seat. I drop on it with all my weight. So, great picture again. Kind of cool that, we've had only black and white pictures. Now it's almost like you can see like the fire creeping behind just through the empty spaces, the missing details, I guess, of behind the stranger. You can kind of see the wisps of fire coming through. Very cool. I'm guessing, what we're operating under the assumption now that this hooded figure is somebody who was sort of abandoned and their body was just sort of left in Lincoln Park, sort of forgotten and left there and not moved. Interesting. Anyway, let's go. I can hear the child talking. You said we'd go to the lake. You said it would be safe there. Her mother's answer is indistinct, and then the girl says tragically, We forgot my new skirt and my shoes pinch. The older gentleman, dapper in an old-fashioned way, speaks, apparently addressing his remarks to me. Chicago boasts of her grandeur. Will not be surpassed to the world. He looks out the window. Chicago always rebuilds. Though she be in ruins, though she be humbled, her credit is good. I smile. Is that Carl Sandburg? I ask with polite interest. Has something of his flavor. Hog butcher for the world, toolmaker, stacker of wheat. I don't remember how the rest goes. Maybe he's quoting from it. Who? Asks the man, but continues before I can show my surprise. Look, the whole city's on fire. I look out the window past him and see a lurid glare painting up the sky to the south. That's just light pollution, I say gently, trying to convince myself as much as I am him. The loop is that way after all. It's probably just light pollution. Must be a factory or something on fire, I suggest carefully. It definitely does look like a fire, but it can't be the whole city. Yeah, we're going deep. We're gonna, go deep into it. I still haven't found another hidden one. I'm probably missing them. Oh, right after I say that. Perfect timing. The old gentleman gives a cracked, mean sort of laugh. Something's on fire, that's for certain. I'd be offended under different circumstances, but I'm keeping myself busy with the passengers to escape the unnerving, unpleasant feeling that the hooded figure is sitting there at my back. Maybe they're not looking at me, but I feel looked at. See, this is where it kind of clues me in, maybe that the person writing this has something like that. I don't like to read into people, because you write a story, it doesn't mean that's you or anything, but just interesting. So much that a stranger's patronizing laughter disturbs me more than it angers me. Then the man eyes me with an arched brow. What are you even doing here anyway? I stare at him. It's a bus. The answer seems self-evident, but apparently tonight is my night for encountering more than my fair share of weirdos. I stare at him a moment longer. His clothing, even his shirt collar and cuffs, is so very blackened out. Just trying to get home, I mutter, my heart speeding up again as I turn to look out the window again. There are heavy black clouds up above, great swiping masses driven ahead. A strong wind which shakes the bus hard enough to make me fear it could tip over, like a child's large hand playing with matchbox cars. I wonder if there's snow clouds. It's early yet for snow, but it wouldn't be unheard of. Never is. The answer comes a moment later. There are flakes falling from the sky, through the sky, and the city glow paints them red instead of white. It's almost pretty in a hellish sort of way. It's no night for such as you to be out, young woman, he says severely. The little girl has begun to cry. Unnerved and annoyed, I stand abruptly and make my way up front, taking a seat just behind the driver. I sit with my eyes closed, trying to calm down. Okay, no choice, so that's what we're doing. I press my palms against my lids. In the dark of it, I see flakes dance, not unlike what danced outside the window. The old man is chuckling to himself behind me. The girl is crying, asking if Papa will be there too. The wind is hissing. The bus is hissing. And I want to be home. I really want to be home. I want to be home really badly. A point right behind my head, above my nape, feels like it's on fire. An uneasy feeling of being stared at, because I know the person in the hoodie is staring. Can't breathe. I cough, joining the other woman in her little concert. I open my eyes and the lights are darkened, flickering, as if I were watching them through a smoke. I squeeze my eyes shut. My chest is tight. I just want to get home. And then the bus stops. Only when the forward motion ends do I realize that it hasn't stopped sooner at any of the innumerable other stops on the route. My eyes fly open. Graceland, says the driver, levering open the doors. I stare at him, with one bit of my brain not gibbering madly, I think. That's not the name of this stop. Stops don't have names, not the bus stops anyway. I stand. It's my stop, no matter what he calls it. I'm almost home. I just have to get there. Every other passenger has risen too. Every one of them, including the figure in the black hoodie. I have to wait in line to file off, even though I'm at the front. Somehow, the hooded stranger is right at the fore, like he's leading the rest of us. I step down into the wind-whipped night. Ending 1, burnt out. The wind is up, blowing fiercely out of the southwest. It buffets me or buffets me? I haven't heard that word. As I turn right into it and start walking west on Irving Park, keeping the image of my apartment bright in my mind, like a beacon lit in the night. I just want to get home. I just have to get home. I hunch my shoulders, hands shoved into my pockets against the chill. Except that it's not cold at all, and I can't fool myself anymore with the thought of snow. The wind is like it's like the breath of an oven, blowing glowing cinders and smoking debris before it. The air is so hot it's hard to breathe, sucked dry and hollow. I'm gasping soon, my eyes slitted against the smoke. My skin feels raw where the sparks have burned me. I'm aware that I'm not alone in the choking haze. There are others with me, trudging along with the same determined resignation I feel. The passengers from the bus, but others too, dragging their possessions, or just staggering along, supporting each other, as they flee toward whatever represents safety to them. Maybe they have their own beacons, like I have my apartment burning in my mind. My apartment burning. I probably shouldn't have said it like that. I giggle madly and glance up, realizing I'm standing at the entrance gate to Graceland. I've been walking its southern border this whole time, of course, a brick and metal wall looming at my right shoulder. But now, here I am, at the gateway itself. It's open. It's never open this time of night. I stand there and stare through at the rows of graves and at the figures pouring past me on either side, heading in. Everyone else in this maelstrom of night was heading here all along. Inside the gate, standing still, facing outward, I see the figure in the hoodie, except it's not a hoodie anymore. It looks like robes, black and enveloping. They're looking at me. I can see it, though I still can't see their eyes. Someone pauses beside me, and I blink. As her rank odor briefly overpowers even the smell of smoke. It's the first old woman from the bus stop. I'm surprised by this and laugh. Go on home, dearie, she says. This isn't for you. Then she turns and walks into Graceland. I stumble backwards as I tear myself away. Turning, I start to run, raw tears streaming from my eyes. It's hard to see the gate when I fumble my keys to open it. Hard to see the building door when I unlock it. Turn. And then the stairs. The corridor. My door. My apartment. Not on fire. Not burning. Nothing is burning. Except me. Julia looks up in alarm when I make it through the door, sobbing and giggling in turn. Sarah? She says, leaping to her feet. Sarah, what? Her voice breaks off when she sees my face, and then she starts to scream. A short horror game by Gaia Lambruski and Katie Mazaras. Sorry, I am so bad with names, so forgive me. Written for the SCREAMCITY Jam of April 2019, art created by Lucky Nothing. There are multiple paths for 3 different endings. Try to pick other choices for another outcome. And then a restart. I would probably center this image at the bottom. Just to throw that out there. So, ending 1. Turns out that I just got ending 1, my first go. That's good. Depending on how long it is, well, maybe let's go for another ending. Who cares how long it is? Let's do it. I really liked this story. It kind of actually reminded me of Scary Stories to Tell in the Dark. I don't remember which one. But there's one called something like Another Sunday Morning or something like that. And it's where somebody wakes up and they're like, it seems like it's too early. I don't know if you've ever had that happen where you like wake up and you're like completely beside yourself and confused about what time it is. Anyway, they do that and they're like, oh my God, I'm late for church. And they go and they get out and they go to the church and the church is just filled with the dead. And they realize that like they've gone to the service for the dead. It kind of reminded me of that in a good way. Like it's obviously a completely different interpretation of that. You know, it's the same core theme or concept, but it's done in a completely different way. But it just reminded me of that in a good way. Kind of, this feels like a very kind of old old makes it sound bad, but it's kind of like an old style horror story, a timeless kind of horror story where it's I can't say that there are any twists and turns in this where I was like horribly shocked, but in a good way. It's like I know what's happening, but it's like I'm along for this ride. It's great. And there's a lot of content. I can't decide if I like this presentation or not. And what I mean by that is that me personally, I don't really like scroll bars and scrolling up and down to read through things personally. Like, it's just, take it with a grain of salt. But I kind of like it when there's a little more clicking and it's a little more movement to advance forward. So it's like, for me personally, I'd kind of almost like a continue button or something in the corner here. And I just like click that to kind of cycle through the next couple paragraphs instead of the scrolling. It just makes it feel a little more, it gives it a little more excitement in my opinion. But this was totally readable. That's just my personal preference. Anyway, let's restart. We're not going to read all the same stuff anymore. So we'll just, I think this time we're going to follow the old woman this time as best we can anyway. So, it is then that the hooded person on the bench takes a hand out of their pocket to point towards the road. They say that when one points at the sun, the fool stares at the finger, and here I am staring at the finger. That's what my dog does. The person is wearing gloves too. I wonder if it's really cold enough yet to need them. It's with some hesitation that instead I move my eyes towards the traffic. A bus is slowing down to a halt at the stop. It is empty, and in place of the line number in the window, a flickery LED sign displays, "Not in service." I frown as the people around me gather to hop on. I open my mouth. My hand gestures emptily. That's kind of an awkward wording. I don't know how else you'd word it, but I don't like the adverb empty there. As I try to point it out, I fall down onto the bench again, narrowing my eyes while the passengers hop in, eager to find a seat for their drive. I say nothing. Okay. Let's... okay. Maybe I can't get on that one. So... should probably still kind of go through to make sure there isn't any hidden links here. The people climbing on the bus turns towards me. A few looks from a mother with a child, a small group of young adults, a bald man, all of them in quite elegant clothing, come to think of it. They look but say nothing. I do not enjoy meeting their gaze. When is it ever comfortable locking eyes with a stranger? Oh yeah, this again. Now it's worse. It's not just the awkwardness of so many taking their time to look at me before they get on the bus one by one. It's that they look surprised, as if they weren't catching an off-duty bus, or as if I were a pitiful loony who doesn't know what she's doing. I'm rethinking every instance I've ever looked at anyone with condescension. All of them, after that long stare, ignore me. Okay, Alright, so we have this strange conversation with either death or the ghost of Christmas future. So let's catch the other bus. I'm barely a block east of Lincoln Park West, maybe 2 blocks from Clark Street. But as I march north on Stockton, I feel miles away from the real world. There are trees on both sides of me, skeletal already, even though fall has only just started. Somewhere to my right is the zoo. I think again about the animals pacing their cages in the darkness. Just want to add that this is like gone above and beyond to make sure that it's following the theme of city. It's obviously Scream City, the theme is city. And the diversifier is people who set it in a real world city. And this story is like intrinsically woven into Chicago. I've been to Chicago a few times, and I'm from the Midwest, but it's like I haven't lived there. I don't know it as well, but it's like every time it's explaining any part of it, it's like I feel like, it's like somebody from Chicago is telling me a story. It's great. So this is like perfectly living up to the diversifier. Anyway, darkness closes in around me. The air is cold and dry, burning in my throat as I hurry up the street. I cough. I try to relax, but the air is burning my eyes now too. I hear a sound like a scream from somewhere in the near distance, and I wonder if it was the monkeys or a hyena. It sounded too human for either. A wild wind has whipped up, shoving at my back, so I nearly stumble. I abruptly find myself gasping. It seems to suck the air from my lungs. I taste something acrid in my throat, like cinders or burning gas. The air isn't cold anymore. It seems hot, stiflingly hot. No oxygen in it. I bend over myself, racked with coughing, my eyes blinded, streaming tears. Hands close over my arms and straighten me up. A body is against mine, an arm around my shoulders, supporting me as we hurry back the way I've just come. I go, not fighting, grateful in fact for the assistance. Slowly, the burning taste in my throat recedes, and my eyes begin to clear. I blink away the tears and I look sideways to my rescuer, but the words of thanks die in my throat. It's the stranger in the hoodie, face still hidden in the shadows. Suddenly, I want to see the face under the hood as if it's the last thing I do, except that part of me is afraid it would be. You almost missed your bus, they say. We're at the bus stop. I watch the hooded figure climbing onto the bus. Nothing seems different. It's the same driver. The light is the same. The cold air. Did I hallucinate the whole thing? I want to be home now as quickly as possible. Or time restraint. Well, let's not go the time restraint route because I don't want to just, So we tried. I clamber onto the bus, pausing to swipe my transit card. Okay. So, last time, strode to the back of the bus, and so let's take the front seat. Let's be a little more meek, a little more affected by this, and see where that goes. I sit with my bag on my lap, clutching it for some sense of stability or security. Staring out the window, I watch the city lights pass, but I can't quite lose myself in their constellation like usual. Oh, that's great, great. City lights like constellations. Great imagery. Love it. There are dark clouds scudding through the sky, driven by a strong wind. Typical Chicago weather this time of year. I shiver, imagining snow. Hello. The voice is light and high, and I turn, seeing the little girl in her braids standing beside me. Hi, I say, smiling tentatively. Are you going home too? The child asks me. I'm going home. My ma said we'd go to the lake. She said it'd be safe. Her face creases with childish disapproval or disdain, and I laugh a little. It's safe if you're careful, I tell her, and listen to the grown-ups when they tell you where you shouldn't go swim. Her big eyes are solemn as she listens, and then she shakes her head. It wasn't safe at all. It hurted at the lake. She brushes her hands down her calico skirt. And we forgot my new skirt, and my shoes pinch. My dad wasn't there. She pauses. I think he'll be there when we get off the bus, but Ma won't say. Geez, man, you're outdoing me here on vocabulary. Querulous voice rises. Querulous, like asking a query. Get it? Right? Maybe? I don't know. Ada, get your narrow self back here and stop bothering that lady. She ain't going to want to listen to your chatter, not like this one. Yeah, no, that's not what that means at all. Well, I tried. I turn. It's all right, ma'am. She can stay if she likes, I say. The woman looks back at me, weary and dull-eyed, gesturing sharply at her daughter. Ada. Actually, more than a little grateful for the interruption, I flap my hand gently at the girl. Your mother's calling you, I say. Go on, you should listen to her. I'm beyond tired of weirdness tonight, and that includes impromptu chats with odd little children. I'm like trying not to breathe into the mic really loudly, so it's causing me to like hold on to too much breath in my lungs. Anyway, sorry, probably ma'am. Ada mutters at me downcast, dashing back to her mom, braids flying. I sigh and sit back against the thin upholstery. Looking out the windows west, I see a smiling, sullen sort of glow on the sky over that way. Light pollution on the clouds, probably. Staring at it without interest, I can hear the older gentleman muttering to himself and cackling in that slightly cracked way that old people get sometimes. That's me all the time. I pick out a few words from his ramble. Chicago, ruins, fire, credit. But then tune him out too. Looking east instead, I watch as the trees of Lincoln Park whip past. Between them, I once in a while spot a glimmer of light on the lake's blackness. What did Ada mean? It heard it at the lake, I wonder, but then dismiss it. Maybe she fell or something. Children are always hurting themselves. Also, children never ever forget when like one bad thing happened at a certain place. My daughter will always remind me of like when she cried somewhere, and it's like, okay, but we've been there dozens of times and it was only one time that happened, but she'll always mention it. Anyway, it's good that you didn't miss your bus, Sarah, says a voice, the tone curiously flattened. I glance up and see that the stranger in the black hoodie is sitting across the aisle from me. My pulse speeds, but I don't answer. The hood turns, apparently looking out the window. I cannot see their face in the reflection on the glass either. Did you know that the south end of Lincoln Park was once Chicago City Cemetery? Okay. You know what? Let's see. The darkness of that hood is unnatural, unnerving. Fuck, this is ridiculous. I frown at it, trying to catch a glimpse of what's underneath. Or the thinness of my energy borders exhaustion. Why do I have to deal with this when all I desire at this point of the night is rest? I ignore him and turn towards the window. Fucking weirdo. Okay. So we're going we're just trying to mind our own business and we're not trying to start nothing. Leave me alone. The wind still blows. I worry about having to walk under such gusts and with how tired I am. In my silence, I try to let the bus's rumble lull me into a calmness, to disinterest. If this person hidden under the hoodie tries to follow me, I will call the police or ask the driver for help. Where are you going? Uh-oh. Hey. Oh, okay. My mic died there for a sec. Or ask the driver for help. Where are you going, Sarah? Do you even know? They ask me suddenly. Just got... I want to make sure okay. Irked, I purse my lips. Where the bus gets me? Is that your business? I'm just... It's not your business. In a sense, they reply. I clench my jaw. Leave me alone or I'm calling the police. They barely react. Then, unperturbed, they stand up, swaying away to the back of the bus. I breathe out with some relief, sapped of strength and all willingness to put up with all this. I can't even go to a party and enjoy a fun evening. Dragging a hand down my cheek, I sink into the seat, the engine's lulling vibration running through me. I close my eyes, trying to catch a break, to rest for 2 seconds. Breathing doesn't come easy. A pressure on my chest and lungs forces me to do it deeply and steadily. I just need to relax. swaying in and out of full wakefulness. Eventually, a voice startles me awake again. Graceland. I blink to the driver's voice, who levered the doors open. My mouth feels very dried out and the lights blind me. I see everyone stand up, with one bit of my brain not dazed by my brief sleep. I think, that's not the name of this stop. Stops don't have names. Not the bus stops, anyway. I stand somewhat unsteadily. It's my stop, no matter what he calls it. I'm almost home. Just have to get there. Every other passenger has risen too. Every one of them, including the figure in the black hoodie. I have to wait in line to file off, even though I'm at the front. Somehow, the hooded stranger is right at the fore, like he's leading the rest of us. Alright, ending 2. The wind is up, blowing fiercely out the southwest. It buffets me as I turn right into it and start walking west on Irving Park, keeping the image of my apartment bright in my mind. Like a beacon lit in the night. I just want to get home. I just have to get home. I hunch my shoulders, hands shoved into my pockets against the chill. And I'm glad it is chill. For the first time, the fire. It was but a glow, city pollution, just a glow. I'm aware that I'm not alone on the street. There are others around me, trudging along, intent on their own destinations. Passengers from the bus all seem to be going the same way as I am. There are others too. More than it seems usual for this time of night. Determined not to get distracted, I just keep my eyes forward and go on walking into the wind, putting one foot in front of the other. Pausing at the corner, I glance up, realizing I'm staring at the entrance gate to Graceland. I've been walking its southern border this whole time, of course, a brick and metal wall looming my right shoulder. But now here I am, the gateway itself. It's open. It's never open this time of night. I stand there and stare through it at the rows of graves. It's actually a very pleasant place to walk by daylight, green and quiet. I think of one famous statue, Eternal Silence it's called. Tall, hooded person's head slightly bent. There's a piece of folklore that says if you meet its eyes, you see a vision of your own death. Just about everyone I know has looked at it, but as far as I know, no one saw anything other than the black metal features. There's a hint of movement inside the cemetery. Squinting in the darkness, I see a hooded figure about 20 yards inside, facing me. It can't be the statue, that's further in. Superstitious chill touches my spine when I realize it's the person in the hoodie. They're looking right at me. Someone pauses beside me and I blink as her rank odor waters my eyes. It's the first old woman from the bus stop, somehow unsurprised. Go on home, dearie, she says. This isn't for you. Then she turns and walks into Graceland. My eyes are fixed on the figure, the silent, hooded thing, which has been with me all this night, leading me inevitably right to this point. Graceland's gates are open, though they shouldn't be. The figure is waiting. I flip up my middle finger and turn away. My apartment building is only a couple blocks further along, and I'm sure Julia will still be awake. The light will still be burning in the window, light in the window to lead me home. There we are, ending 2. So we'll leave it at ending 2 here. Fair amount of content really in this. A very solid amount of content. For 10 days to write a story in that sort of level of quality and consistency. I mean, it's consistently quality all the way through. There's no point where I'm just like, maybe take another crack at that. No, nothing like that this whole time. So, very well written stuff. Like it. I have one more as well. I haven't written a profile description since MySpace, y'all. MySpace. All right. Cool, I'll have to check this one out. Be kind of neat. Definitely liked it. So this was great game. Got 2 endings. They were pretty similar in terms of the way they played out. So Unless, I imagine the third ending is kind of like that too. If the third ending is actually implemented, I don't know. I don't quite know. So very cool, very in theme, very tied to Chicago. Definitely makes me want to read more about the Chicago fire. I don't really know much about it. Other than, other than it happened, basically. So definitely give this game a check out. I would just say, as far as like what it needs, I think it just needs more, I don't know, more things to, I'm drawn in by the writing, but if you're going to take it further, if you're going to push it further, it's like maybe like some ambiance, the sound of the city at night, the sound of getting on the bus and sitting there, and that kind of thing. That would draw me in even more. There's a the pictures, I mean, always could use more. I know there was a time limit here, obviously, but if this, I'm guessing the last ending is going to get implemented at some point, or the third choice anyway. So it's like, with that, maybe Lucky Nothing can add some more pictures into it and make it a little more, add a little more of that in there. And I would say, as far as the pictures go, their implementation is totally good. There's just the one at the end that should probably be centered, just so it's like, because I think the other pictures are centered. Yeah, so this one's centered, so just kind of do that with the other one too. And personally, I would add some kind of thing to advance the paragraphs or the sentences, just because it makes it just feel more interactive, I guess, to me. But that's a stylistic distinction, so it's really just kind of like, if you don't like that idea, don't do it. But that's what I personally would do that. I love the context of the choices as the other parts get developed. It's almost like the more that you can do this, the better. There were a couple choices where it didn't have it, and I've automatically felt like I was missing it. But the rating hasn't opened yet for Scream City, so I'm getting an early start, since last time I just really the last day I was doing like 8 playthroughs, and I don't want to do that. I'm gonna give everybody all the time they need. So but I'm definitely going to be rating this one pretty highly. I enjoyed it quite a bit, and it fits perfectly with the story. I don't find it scary necessarily, but it is unsettling, it is creepy, and it hints very maturely at sort of the death and destruction of a historical death and destruction, and it doesn't feel exploitive about it at all. It feels very inspired by it, and very kind of affected by it. So that's cool. That's very cool when you have a lot of these games that are horror games where it's almost like in their haste to use certain thematic elements, they kind of treat it not like a joke, but not seriously, myself included. So very mature, feels very mature. This is like great short story, very strong. And hearing about the development on Discord and everything while this was going on, like, friggin' nailed it. It's great. So anyway, hope you guys enjoyed. Please watch everything with all the Scream City entries. Obviously, I'm going to be doing all of them. So, come back and see those as well. Gaia Fiorenza, sorry, Gaia Fiorenza Check out this game if you thought this was cool. Check out their other games too. So anyway, my name was Fia Gloss. Hope you guys liked it, and I will see you guys on the next one. Have a good night.